infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have you all.
Yeah, that's one way of getting out.
Just go. Oh no, you couldn't.
I'm just gonna take my switch car. Maybe it triggers like a thing. Oh. What? What? He killed me too? Are you for real? What? Is that you?
This rhino is literally targeting me here. What the hell?
Yeah,
It's targeting both of us.
No! I'm out.
Oh no! I didn't even get hit by that one then.
Nah, that's annoying.
Nice work, team. We're getting there.
There we go. Mic was on mute. I wonder if that was on mute last time. I don't know. Turn that down a bit. How are you, Batch? Oh, I need some more fuel in this. Yeah. Oh. Oh dear. Of course that's expensive to buy. Have I got somewhere to buy fuel locally? No. Oh, I sent that. Discord's on the ping now. No, this headshot's gone to bed, so I thought I'll do a short stream. Might as well keep doing the odd little one. Ooh, hot air balloons. Eating something. Here behind me, there's chomping noise. One of these chews. I've managed to get however many hours into this game. How many hours into this game save? They won't tell. Oh, there we go. It tell me. Nearly 43 hours into this game save, and I'm Still got no money. I keep spending it before I can save up. Hopefully I'm in a position in the game now though I will start making money. Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields, 6 fields. Which we got 5 fields to harvest and there's 1 of grass to keep mowing. I should be in a position to start generating some money. Get that out of the way. So I need to go and fuel that compound up really. There you go, that's that filled up. Usually it's put in here and then we can go up to the spinner. That needs to go up here. Oh. Can't quite fit in. Oh yeah, we'll get down the bottom. But it will get down the bottom and keep going before it runs out of fuel. Hopefully we'll get a fuel tank up here soon. Oh, it's nearly here. Give it a couple of minutes and it'll be here. Ooh. First ad break incoming. Don't know how long this one is for. Had to remove one of my members. Oh. Yeah, well, there was a bit of drama in Nick's Discord earlier as well. I noticed. I just happened to see the ping asking for moderators. Yeah, community member thinking because they've been a follower for a while, they deserve to be a mod. It's interesting. Yeah. That's a big game. Oh God. I'm waiting for the ad break to finish. 3 minutes of ad, so it's ridiculous. Piece of fuel. Yeah, fuel's here. How are they not? Oh, you got turbo so you can hear me. Okay. Wasn't sure. I could just see the time again. I think, well, I might as well wait until it's finished. No, I saw a ping. It was a ping for a comment they made today, where they'd use a racist language towards somebody. But no, their previous one is, and they said something like, "Can't believe I've been a member for a year and a half, 2 years, and I should have mod now. I deserve to be mod. I've been here long enough." And it's like, it's not how it works. You're demanding mod just because you've been here a while. Clearly don't know what mods do. So yeah, that was a ban. But easily dealt with. Need to chat with Nick about his server though. Oh, okay. Yeah, the problem is because if he's very sort of teen friendly, and I don't think they quite understand common etiquette. Yeah, he doesn't. Oh, what I can tell. Doesn't, yeah. Doesn't use it a huge amount. You checking everybody else's Discord. There we go, he's refueling. I've got a Discord server that I don't use. I mainly use it to test things for this headshot server. Can't break anything in my server. There's no one in it. Alright, let's put a bit more powerful tractor on that trailer. I don't even know where this one's going to go. To the farm shop. Everything's gone to that farm shop. There's a looping. I can send it back down to the yard once it's finished. Empty, so I can get rid of. Can return that. Hopefully, I can buy one soon. About the fourth time I've leased one. Let's move the combine down here, and I'll leave it there because I don't know when my next contract's going to be. We can send that one down there. If I want, what am I starting with? A sheep pen. What's the 450? 125,000, but that will give him. Best option is that one, isn't it? 130. How big's that? I haven't got the money for this. Let's go have a look what it would look like in where I'm planning to put it. Because I don't want it. Trying to find a level bit of the field. Well, that's the good part of my field, that is. Yeah, this would be a better field for building on. I think. Don't know. Oh. I need to forget I put it on low speed. I'm doing along at 10k, I was never going to get anywhere. That's the contract finished. So the only one left is that, and I really can't be arsed with doing that. So there's nothing more for me to do. I'll sleep till the next day. Do we get some more? This is the following day. What have I got access to now then? Oh my god, it's so much better. Right. Let's get this slowed right down then. Oh. Let's accept. That worth it? Probably. Where are the items for that one? Barley to grain mill. Barley to the grain mill. Barley to the grain mill. Great. And I've left the combine up there. Even better. Only issue is I've just sent the tractor back down with the trailer. So I need to grab that tractor quickly. Send it back up to field 19. It's field 27, isn't it, for the potatoes? Yeah. Oop, no. So that one's going to field 27. Well, I'm wishing now I'd had that big loader thing ready. Oh. Oh, we're going to get this going. Of course, I've skipped forward a day, so it's all been hidden away. The grass is regrown again, or partially. I'm going to have to... Actually, if I skip... Well... I might as well get it doing something. Oh, I can see it quite easily actually now. It's facing the wrong way now. Spin you round. Might work its. Oh, here we go. I say work itself out from there. Tractor's pushing the harvester along. Oh dear. Oh god. This combine's gonna... What are you doing, Mr. Combine? I can really see you wanted to turn round. There we go, let's send it off again. And that is crashed. We're getting lined up better. Hopefully it'll go well. There we go. There we go. So that's drying the grass to make hay. Trailer's back up here. We wait. Need a bigger header on that combine. I'm hoping. Yeah, so what have I currently got? Header wise is that one, which is 6 meter wide. But ideally, I want 88,000. That's interesting. That's no bigger. Why would I have that one over that one? Hmm. Yeah, I'm currently on a 6-meter header, and I need something bigger than that. Probably that one gonna fit. Ah, is that what I got? A try on. I can get to 11 meter near enough. That will make a huge difference. Though 63,000. Yeah, I've got a try on. So. Okay, get this combine emptied and then. No, we're heading in the right direction. Okay. Oh god, it's almost full. Wish I could take out more of a loan. Take more of a loan and then I can... I'd be able to get the bigger trailer. Or I can just keep emptying this, having the tractor trailer that's car, then on an automatic, running back and forth to sell point. I just keep driving over and loading myself into it. Admittedly, the trailer would have to be decent size, but it would be alright though. Am I going to be in the way here? Maybe. We'll just leave. Actually, hang on. I've got a low. Yes, I'm already looking at spending more money than I've got. A 95 horsepower for that. 80, 80. So I only need like a 100 horsepower tractor. So either of those would be good. Or what can I get? Oh, 39,000 for that. And that would run everything for my grass production. At 39,000 it would be a good one, wouldn't it? Oh, what's this? Instead of front loader, anniversary edition, wet block. Yeah, I can have all sorts of cool things on these bigger ones. Taking all the, yeah. They're not big enough. They've got always at 98. Oh. Oh, there's always that. That's my go-to. You know, I can get 185 horsepower out of one of those, which cost me 26 grand. So the chances are I will end up with one of those. That's my best option. There we go. That's it. So what, 31,000? And I can literally have that. $31,000. Would that make it bigger than my current tractor? No. That's nearly done. That's ready to be unloaded. How much does this trailer hold then? Oh, that literally, okay. One of those literally is. So go into the farm shop. Okay. So we need to deliver to the farm shop. And we'll loop back to, what about there? So I'm wishing I had another tractor now. That's not done all of its job. We're just getting that bit done. Can't we? And then I need another. Here's me saying I need another one of these, another one of these. I could get rid of that other tractor. That blue one. I'll wait until we've done my harvest, because that's going to be my key bit. My harvest, I think. Actually, I've already got one field. Nearly ready for harvest. So once I can start harvesting all these. What have I got? I've got oats, wheat, and canola. And the best times for wheat is December, and we're in like February. It's not ready yet. You got some oats that are just about ready to harvest. That's December. Canola is November. So we got all those to sell in like November, December time, hopefully. And then hopefully that these are on the climb now, yeah. Yeah. Up to July price. I think for the next harvest I'm going to fill the fields of soybeans because you get so much. And my other thing is I'm going to... What do I keep... I might be better off just renting one of those. Point, it needs 300 horsepower to run it. I don't have 300 horsepower to run it. But I'm going to rent one of those. I know I own one, but it hasn't got the modification on it I want. I want it set to that. What's that going to cost? £4,500. Lease. It's probably actually not worth for what we're going to make. I just need some easy way to make 50 grand quick. Which would be selling that tractor. I don't leave my other contract then unsupervised as such, wouldn't it? Not doing anything. Don't know why I brought this over here. Because this isn't going to generate... This field won't generate a lot of money at the moment. The idea of this field here, though, is purely for stockpiling grass and hay for Because eventually, yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of cuts of hay, and then it'll be silage into my silage pit initially. Yeah, in terms of things going forward, in terms of animals, I want to go with that cow barn, so I can just like put silage, which I'll use corn to make, and just hay and grass into that. I can just keep filling that up with that, and then I'll have to have a look if there's an achievement for. And then yeah, I got. Okay, so you can get that one. It's 400. But yeah. Then I'm gonna have. Basically, I'm gonna get the biggest capacity or whatever. They're like a 400 sheep one. Chicken wise. Where's that? 1,500 chickens. Oh. They might just end up with one of those. That's 250 chickens. What is that? So that might be better. 85,000 for a 1,500. For 1,500. And then bees, I'll just have the biggest, which is that. Biggest capacity with the bees. But I don't know what other achievements we've got. So we've got road trip, which is driving a car. That's loading a save up after a while. Oh. What we're going to do, that's cows, pigs, horse. Let me just pull up. You know. There we go. We do locked one. I need to get somewhere like true achievements then, don't I? True achievements, okay. Oh, we need farming simulator. Oh, let's bring this out so you can see. Going on. There's 22. Here we go. Yeah, we've got road trip, which is driving a car pickup. We've got plans to get enough, which is. Oh no, I must have done that one. Yeah, done that one. news field trip. Field trip? No, I've done that. Have a look. And what we got? We've got one for driving the car a certain distance. Is road trip. Never too late farm, which is got a few achievements in this. Never too late to be farm, which is fly. Have a safe bar for more than a year. Hold. Thoroughbred. Thoroughbred. I know it's got to be a horse. Oh, this is ride a horse a certain distance. Or for a while. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. There it is. Sell 40 bales of cotton. Has to be done in one session. Best option is to make 40 bales of cotton. Do not sell until you have all 40. One thing to note, well, they do not have to be complete bales of count. You can sell unfinished bales, which is the optimal way to get the achievement. Original grain. I realise this is not the best content at the moment. Original grain, here we go. You need to sell a total of 500,000 litres of sorghum. I need to sell more sorghum. You are not a kangaroo. That one. Where you are not a kangaroo. This you jump. Horse. 3 little piggies will be breeding a certain number of eggs. Want 3 little piggies. Oh yeah, I definitely need horses. I need pig. Yeah, 3 little pigs. Yeah, I need to breed pigs. Cow's herd will be the same. Dead. And that is actually tell me what. I don't know what this actually is for. Doesn't say. I don't know what it says. I'm looking at the website and it's not really that clear. Not that I've got to worry because I'm going to get a big old big barn anyway, which it's going to fill up with TMR. soon as this, as I say, as soon as it's done, I'll sell this tractor. But then I haven't got a tractor. Wish I could rent a tractor. How much would a just needs to literally get. Yes, if I was to lease one of those. See, I don't have enough money now to release one of those. So I wouldn't have enough money if I sold my tractor. Oh, it's a difficult one. But also, it's probably not worth it because what already bought the way across this field. Send that off. Notice how all these cost so much. That's quite a good one. Because I can literally stick that on the back of a lorry. That I can just go ridiculously big, which is that one. Which is actually quite funny. It only needs 300 horsepower, yet that one needs 400. But that's like twice the capacity. That'd be a handy one, but little things like that just make, when it comes to it, the farming a bit easier. Because you can set the tractors to keep going back and forth to stores. Because they won't leave until they've got a full load. So if you can keep running up to them with a trailer, fill them up and go, it saves a bit of time then. But it's not how it seems to work. Keep looking away, it's because I've got some. Well, I've got someone else's stream open, but two, I'm trying to gather Modern Warfare 3 beta drops. I've done two. Well, I've got 3 of the 4. I still need to watch for another 3 hours yet, though. That Tron's got a full load. And everyone's back from the ad break. I don't know whether it's better having these long ad breaks. Like 3 minutes. Is there, what's that? Second ad break of the evening? Yeah, see, it knocks the pre-roll off for an hour or so, doesn't it? What's that thing? I've got ad running when I haven't. But yeah, it knocks pre-rolls off, ads off for an hour. So I think I've only run like 2 or 3 in the entire thing. As far as I know. So I think it is doing better in terms of allowing you to see more, but you do disappear off for like 3 minutes at a time, which I'm not great, but that's where most people go, well, if you sub, you don't get it, but I don't want to push people to sub. People will sub if they want to sub. I don't want to force them to do it. That way there's Twitch Turbo as well, which cuts out all the ads. Where the hell's that going? That tractor's literally driving the opposite way to the what I would have said was the grain. Oh no, is that the grain elevator? Where's the grain mill? Grain mill's all the way down there. Oh yeah, it's the grain elevator. Oh, I've stopped it by accident. Whizzer down here. Okay. I don't know what was stuck. I think they must have been passing each other. Do we now pick up all? Hasn't rode it all up, but hey hum. It's all picked up. This might actually be enough. The next cut could be silage. I don't know whether I want the silage. Do I have something for making silage rather than silage pit? Would be a production, why not? Have a look. Let's have a look. Corn dryer. So yeah, I can start doing flavoured milk and all sorts. Yeah, so I've got the option of having that, where I just chuck everything in to make my TMR. But I might go for that bigger shed. That's what I want for the pigs. Chuck everything in there that makes my food for the pigs. Do I have the corn dryer? Sorters. No, okay, I don't have anything for drying. Making silage by the look of it. Fair enough. I haven't decided how I want to make the silage though. Alright, let's go and do this. Oh, no, that's the fill point. This is the unloading point, isn't it?
And gather all this up. Oh my god, this is already full. I think I'm gonna have to go and check on the 2 harvests again. And that's that done. So combine's full. Oh wow, the trailer's not even back yet. Ooh. That's gonna take some keeping up then. Perhaps I send it off before it's completely full, the trailer. Right, whack that under there. Saving and send it off. Oh. Oh, I didn't quite get it. Well, that's near enough, isn't it? Back to collecting. Yeah, I get this done, cleared tonight. I'm gonna have another part load on, aren't I? Interesting thing is though, look. I'm now so far down this one. Yet last time it stopped halfway up. Zoom. I've crashed. I crashed. Right. This is going to probably fill this up, isn't it? Drop that down and off we go again. Yeah, well, give me. Do I have straw and? I think I've got straw now, haven't I? Do I haven't looked to see the best. Oh, December was the best time to sell it. Could sell it now though. Because this hay I'll just stick in the sheep. But yeah, I think that will then get replaced by a big bale storage. Because you can get one that holds like 800 odd bales, something ridiculous. I'll end up buying a big Hester baler. So I could do really big bales of straw and hay. And then my silage will be done in the silage pit using corn. I could expand this field. Because to be fair, looking at how level fields are, I'm going to be better off waiting to get this one to build everything on. Which admittedly is a lot of money. I'm done. We're getting across this, actually, aren't we? Switch back to this one in a minute. I was thinking, yeah, it's getting close. Okay, so we are into the short. I'll come back and get this bit. Oh. I'll get this unloaded. Or set it unloading. And then hopefully I can go back and get that other trailer moved because that's coming in the way. Oh, it's not emptying it. Okay, we're emptying it again now. I want to expand this grass field actually. That's the way for the big tractor. Yeah, I might expand it out a bit. Have this as my sole grass field because it's a deep. I expand it out a bit so that all this on the side here is part of the actual field. Then I should be able to produce more than enough because every 2 months or so it will be cut every 2 months. So The 12 months. It's not 6. It won't be 6 because it will stop. Actually, yeah. If I turn the seasonal growth off, it'll then mean I can't harvest for a certain couple of months. But there might be 4 or 5 harvests off it. Not gone anywhere. I hadn't sent it off anywhere. No. Actually, here I am saying, oh, I have to get the other tractor. No, I can use this one. I'll just have to single plow. Get it marked out. What's this going to have given us over the harvest? Hmm. Oh no, is that full? Oh no. Hmm. I'll tell you what, is that 250,000 total capacity, so I need to sell some straw. That's 75% done, that one. Hopefully we're getting very close. Send this off to be unloaded because gonna go. Yeah. Combine. Urgh. About going to, isn't it? Right, so that's off to unload now. That one's ready to. It's on its way back down. I'll have to finish this field off myself, won't I? Because every last little bit you can harvest is best. Because you end up with you end up getting more money. I could start. I will start that one after I've done that one. That's 20th. I can't pick up any grass until I get trailer to go and empty the straw out to sell it. And where would I sell straw? Biogas heating plant. Okay. Oh, this is why the combine was full and waiting, because this goes such a long way round, doesn't it? Get you grab the tractor, run it down the field. That harvest is full, yeah. Park underneath, once it's full I'll send it off again. Whether we got there's only one more trailer, maybe more. Don't know. Just don't know. And the tractor's off again. Literally non-stop, but seems to work quite well. Don't watch this one. You're close to finishing, aren't we? Whoa, what the hell did that just hit? Literally a waiting game now, isn't it? I'm gonna wait for the tractor to come back. Is that finished? Yeah. Oh, still a little bit left down there. Oh, let's get this last little bit done. But you're offline. Got you still on roll. Live now roll got removed. Oh. Okay. Don't know why. I don't think stream dropped at any point. OBS and the stream dashboard stay the same, so. Oops, I'm not paying attention now. I'm running to me. Won't be on much longer. I just want to get this field done and it's all going to fit in this trailer hopefully and I can send it off to be unloaded. Correct job. It's a non-looping job this time. Off it goes. Nowhere near where I left it. It's taking so long to do this field. Oh no, removed my role an hour ago. I went live. These two up. I don't know. Bit confusing that is. Yes, that tips off up there. That'll be that one done. So, and then just waiting on this trailer here. Or can I get a cheap trailer? That with an extension, which is 20,000. I'll lease this. I'm just going to use it to sell the straw. Or at least I'm hoping is what I can do. I can't pick up any more hay because I've run out of space. But I'm hoping I can put this underneath and go take hay from here, straw from here, and deliver it to here. I don't know if this is going to work. Going to work? Have a look. So can I create a job? Load and deliver. Load from hayloft. Straw. Delivered to That's not going to work. Livestock market or biogas plant. So this is biogas plant, but it's not supported. Oh, not supported by unloading station. Okay. Oh no, because it's biomass heating plant or only one I can go to is the biomass the livestock market. In theory, now that should now run continuously selling straw. Right, so we'll leave that going. It'll soon tell me if there's a problem. And we'll complete that one. That uses the same tractor as. That's the thing, that's a good pay, but it's the same tractor that's doing that will do this. So I might as well do that one whilst I'm up there. Okay. We'll see, right? Let's watch this, see where this tractor fills up properly. So what's that, 20,000, so... Well, 22,000, then we got 108, so what's that going to be? 44, 66, 88. Oh, so it should be 110. So yeah, that'll do it in like 5 loads. It's the plan. Oh, that stopped. No? That stopped. It doesn't like that, so let's... We change it to there. There we go. Right. Leave that looping. Hopefully it... See how this goes. Luckily it's such a short run back and forth. It should soon clear. Oh, I've just done it again, haven't I? How do you want to do that? I press B. Well, I mean to change... Come on. There we go. I'll keep holding. And one more load out of that combine, and then we'll send it off again. This is... Oh, it's there. The dairy is close by. How's this going to work? Is it going to do it? There we go. The one trailer load is nearly £3,000. Not too bad then. Still going up? Yeah. Right, I'm still trying to get my... Still trying to get the 4 hours of watching Modern Warfare 3. I haven't really watched any though, but... So that tractor's now should in theory be in a continuous loop of selling straw for me. I'm going to invest in a big piece of equipment into something I don't need, but I think it would just make life so much easier. Oh, hang on, I can buy my other tractor, can't I now? It's a small one. I can buy it now, can't I? There it is. Yeah, we can buy it. There we go. So I can have that now for my grass work. My little pocket rocket of a tractor. I'm getting this so that when it comes to doing manure, I don't know why I need this. I think it's more so that if I've got potatoes and sugar beet, I've got a loader wagon that's cheap. It's so cheap compared to the standard one for doing it. There we go. This should hopefully give me space now to unload all my hay. It has. Got to decide what I'm doing about. I need a nice flat field, which unfortunately is across there, I think. Before I get a really nice flat field. And then... We need to work on extending this field next, don't we? We'll have to check where the field boundary is. There's a land I own and land I don't, but... There we go then, that is all first cut hay off that. Yeah, I don't have space to do another cut off that. What I could do is keep mowing the grass each time it grows. And then eventually I should have... I'll just keep cutting it and then row it up after like 3 or 4 cuts. If I got a baler, I can make a load of bales. But no, we'll go for another half hour. So make it to midnight and then I'll probably call it a day then. I'm hoping it's be on to the last trailer load then. Although I could stop. Good. Start using this tractor. See if this works, see if it heads up that way. There we go. Oh, it's going to crash into the train. Bad move by me. It might be a good idea. As I've got this second trailer and I don't need... really don't need to... We'll return that trailer yet. Don't need to clear any more straw out, so I can literally loop. Keep looping around. I'll also get one in the bit truck loads off. What else should we? Yeah, 320 horse. I don't know that little. Right. Let's stick a weight block on the front then. Let's stick the plough on. Then drill the corner bit of grass in. My other half's gonna be wondering where I am, but yeah, enjoying my gaming. Right, so when we up to the straight line down from tree, which is this one here. Yeah. Only just got enough power to run this plough, but yeah, it's marking out where I can do my next batch of drilling. So probably actually make that a little bit wider than the bottom, couldn't I? I'll fire the angle back. Hmm. Let me put an angle up here then. and merge into the corner. I'll probably plough up the whole. I'm going to plant the whole field up. Whoa, where the... Why is... Oh. Oh? Interesting. Had harder work apparently. I wasn't paying attention, the other tractors managed to get back. Oh, I can get another load in that. And then we'll do that one. I want to test something. It seemed like they wanted to run. The worker one was going to do the job, but I don't know whether it would. If it does, then will it stop when it gets to my ploughed line? No. I've got to do it myself. I need the bigger tractor, don't I? Because this is struggling. It's not quite gutsy enough. Down with the bigger tractor I can put. In which case, I'm going to leave the bigger tractor to do this bit. I'm going to file this bit up. Leave that going then. Less than an hour. Let's get the last bit. That one. I don't know what this tractor's doing now. Back it up and stick it where it needs to go to do another one. Of course, yeah, implying this, I'm going to have to get a stone picker in, but hopefully, and yeah, I should have enough to rent one. Get one in to rent. Oh yeah, the rest of that's going to fit in the last trailer. I'll send this one back to the yard once it's tipped. We'll get that unloaded. Create a jar, deliver to the mill, and then drop back to back there. Whilst that's then running down there, keep cutting, and I'll use this one to finish off. Yeah, that field, this field here will be grass. Again. I'll, yeah, try and make use of the stone in it. Well, you can get to me because I've got a stone, yeah, small stone pile there. Because in the long run, I want to make my own lime, so I've got to crush stones for that. I'm slowly stockpiling that because or this, turn off the weed, rolling, mulch, and stone. Only 3 fields that need ploughing. Well, 38 and 39 are going to be combined. I'll combine 40 and 41 together. There'll be 2 big ones. Of course, that will then mean they've all got stone to be ploughed. I'm just going to make sure that I spray them all for weed. I roll them all because none of them got rolled, I don't think. No, they all needed rolling. So I'll do it properly. Once it's all rolled, why is that finished task? I will take this back to the yard. Easy with the bigger tractor. Not this tractor's far too small for this plough. Whilst it's got the horsepower to do it, it's got nowhere near the weight. Which don't want to be that way around, don't I? I think. I don't know actually. Oh no, it must be that way around. It won't let me fold it up and drop it off. Well, we could wait for it to finish, couldn't we? I mean, it's going to be a couple of passes yet, there isn't it? Unload, wait. I'll tell you what, we'll wait for this tractor to unload, and then I'll call it there. What are we in? We're 2.5 hours, aren't we? Yeah. Really get to bed, because if little man doesn't sleep very well tonight, I'm going to be really, really tired. And getting a bit more automated in terms of our systems. I like the hire the worker, you can just send them off to do the jobs now.
That's that coming into unload. %90 delivered. Might this last trailer load even be? Make it. Oh no, there's still 76% complete of that. Okay. This combine's about to fill up. Oh, screw it. Well, we can wait until this is done because it's like 2 passes of the field. Might as well get this over and done with out the way. Although I'm saying that, we've still got 23 and 11 to harvest. I don't know why I sent over the tractor to the other place. We'll see. So yeah, with other fields to do, we'll save it there and call it a night. We haven't really got much closer to get. Once we've got, what's it, 5 cereal fields and 1 grass field sorted, be a lot better off. Once I can start selling grain, I've got quite a bit. I'll add all up, that'll give me a bit. If I'm lucky, I get enough money for that big field. Yes, I'll plant that up, I'll crop off that. And then, as I think that's a relatively fat thing, I will put, well, if I start with sheep, because the sheep are the easiest, I just chuck a load of grass at them, and voila, they're done. They'll produce wool, which I can then send to the spinnery. Once I start making money off that, I can then buy the spinnery, so I can then sell fabric. I just keep ramping it up from there then. But no, we'll get there. We'll get there because it's looking pretty good. So I got that one, which is, I've made a mess of that, haven't I? But I've started doing things and I stopped to, and it gets a bit messy over time. I'm just waiting for the what is it? Not platinum, premium edition or the premium expansion to come out. I'll show you. It's not going to show me, is it? Add on. Yes, we've got the platinum. I'm just waiting for whether it's going to show. So I've got year 2 pass. Give me all the DLC for this. There we go. Premium edition. That's what we're waiting for. Because we can, well, it gives us a new map, and it means we can go, we can do carrots, parsnips and red beet. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Doing all those. But no. Thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed watching me do a bit of farming. Until next time, hope you have a good weekend, and I'll catch you all another day. Bye everyone.